How important is your brand store and what can you do to improve it? I'm going to give you some tips in this video. My name is Stephen Pope and I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. I have 3 brands on Amazon. One of them is Age of Sage. In here, one of the first tips I'm going to give you is don't forget to set the meta description. So for those that don't even know what a meta description is, this is the SEO copy that goes behind the store and is read by Google, not Amazon in this particular instance. This brand store meta description is read by Google in the search algorithm, which helps it rank for your brand name. Additionally, it can rank for the other cursory non-brand terms as well. For example, I know that I want to rank for anything related to gift boxes for Mom, Mother's Day, spa set presents, wine tumblers, bath bombs, scented soaps, and lotions. That's why I have my meta description set to how it is. Now, if we go over to Google right now and type in something along the lines of Age of Sage, there's a chance my brand store is going to come up. And in this particular instance, it came up first. I have my US website coming up second. We've got a Facebook and a bunch of other things that show up. So this shows you that the power of a meta description in your brand store can be very beneficial. Who wouldn't want to show up at the top of Google for their brand name, especially if Amazon is your main focus point and you don't even necessarily care about your other website properties? Just showing up for your brand name gives consumers that sort of nice, good feel that like, hey, this is a legitimate brand. I can find them on Google. It goes back to the brand store and it's the first hit. Could be in the top 5 for other brands, depending on the competence, or rather the competition of that term. All right, so if we go here, you can see here, this is where the meta description shows up, right underneath the title of that brand store page. And so gift boxes for her, Mom, Mother's Day, you'll see that matches exactly what we wrote here. So it behooves you to use that master keyword list that we talk about during phase 1 of SEO at My Amazon Guy to write this description to pertain to words you want to rank for. It also makes sense to fill it in and not just simply put a single word there or something along the lines of just wasted space. It's the same idea I gave you guys when I say put in the alt text of the photo on A+ content. This, however, potentially has even more impact. Now, if you don't know what a master keyword list is and you haven't watched the other SEO videos I've produced, check those out here. You can go to myamazonguy.com/SEO to see a bunch of SEO resources as well. Next, we're going to look at the actual live brand store. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can build one of these, and quite frankly, very difficult to A/B test to see what's going to create the most impact. But there are some general best practices I want to give you. First general best practice is make sure that your big banner has your brand name in it and it's clear what you sell. This is probably the most time consuming portion of the brand store, is just simply getting that header image filled in. Second tip I'll give you is make sure that you have multiple sub pages. Just simply putting together one home page doesn't give that website feel where you've got that navigation and you can see I don't just sell this, I sell all of this, right? I could go to the soap page and see all the cool soaps. I could go to the smudge sticks page and see all the incense that we sell, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do when you create all these sub pages and create focal points. Notice too, we can create videos. Having something as simple as this, which is just basically an unboxing video, can make a higher conversion rate happen because it's showing what is the consumer experience going to be like. Hey, I'm going to see a card. I'm going to see all of this paper fluff as I open this up, and I can see all the units inside of it. So don't hesitate to put together even a cell phone video onto your brand storefront. Can be very, very beneficial. All right. The next tip I'll give you is you see this little following button here. You can actually generate followers on your brand store that correlates over to your social posts as well. And so if you have lots of followers, you can market the consumers. We have a video on how to send emails to followers of your store. Check that out here. And then on the posts, notice how I can see all of the social posts that have been generated and see how they're categorized by home fragrance and home decor products and incense and stuff like that. So the keywords that you also put in your social posts can help rank your products and can help benefit your brand store as well, especially since they literally show up in your brand store. They also show up on your detail pages. So let's see if we can go trigger one of these. So if we go click onto one of the products, we're going to go see if we can scroll down and see if social posts are populating on the detail page. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And here we've got them populated. Inspiration from this brand. And this used to only show up on mobile, but it does now, as you can see here, show up on desktop. All right, so when you're editing your store, what else can you do? Well, first of all, do note that there's a major difference between desktop and mobile view. You do need to go through and edit it for both because it's a very different feel when you have 2 rows on desktop, but on mobile it might equate to 4 rows, right? And so the amount of scroll fatigue the consumer has can be substantial. You can also preview this, share previews in desktop, mobile, and share the preview to others so that you can get some additional takes. You could even run a test or an A/B test to see what other consumers think about your brand store. We like to tend to use PickFu. You can get 50% off by going to pickfu.com/myamazonguy. All right, so one of the other big tips I want to show you though is sometimes people have some hard times getting their brand store accepted on Amazon. And here is one of the biggest use cases that we've seen. I'm going to zoom in here, and what you're going to see is that the text is radically different between these 2 images. See how on the top image you can't read it, right? And we've zoomed in to give it additional effect. So there's a big difference in the size between these 2 images. This brand store design copy, it got rejected. Amazon came back and said there's a legibility issue. Now, it took us a while to figure out that it was the text specifically in this image. I love how Amazon doesn't exactly come back and say, hey, this is the exact image you need to edit. They just come back and give you that generic like legibility problem, right? Well, here's how we fixed it. We upgraded the text so that it was as large as possible on both screens here. And so you can see we make appealing decor for the kitchen, living room, bathroom, and bedroom, and more. You can see that it's just as well as Onyx Arrowhead household products can help create crazy and warm atmosphere in your home, right? Like very easy to read. They're practically the same font size and it's legible. We submitted this, boom, it went right through. We've seen some other brand store issues where you have to have links to the products on the images. Make sure you add those as well. We've also seen tiling issues where you don't fulfill or submit enough products to get some of those requirements fit in. We've also seen issues on my Momstir Store. And by the way, if you don't know how to get to the brand stores section, you can put your cursor on stores, manage stores. That'll bring this up. So we're going to switch over to Momstir now so you can see. Oh, here's another good tip, by the way. There's this thing called the vanity URL or pretty URL. And this particular term, I don't think it's like necessarily documented out there in the wilderness. But in any case, if you see how the Amazon.com/ shows Momstir / host / aegis, Amazon does not automatically make the vanity URL. You do have to tick it and ask for it. One of the coolest we've ever able to make was Amazon.com/we. This is one of our clients. We've been working with him for more than 4 years. You can see him giving a TEDx talk here. Well, next time he's on stage after we got this Amazon store page made, he can say, hey, and by the way, you can find me on Amazon, Amazon.com/we. How amazing is that, right? Like that's a pretty awesome vanity URL. Now these do have to correlate to your brand name, but this is a really great tip to make sure you've got that set. It makes it easy for you as well, going back to try and find your brand store or do social shares. And it's a really nice way to do it. So if we're going to go into Momstir Store, one of the things I had when I was trying to submit mine a bunch of times, I'm going to switch over to desktop, is because I've got some products where somebody could drink alcohol in them. Mind you, I don't even drink alcohol. And I do use my own cups, though, to drink water or whatever. And so they were saying I had some pro-alcohol memorabilia, like this glass right here, I'm not drinking alone. It took forever to get Amazon to accept this. We had to submit it multiple times. We had to escalate. So if you get a brand store that just won't go through and they give you the same reason over and over again, eventually if you just keep submitting it and filing tickets, they will eventually accept it. They're obviously not going to override like the legibility issue, but if they're giving you problems with the actual product selection, but the product itself when you go to the page is fine, it's not really fair to you, right? Like this page is been up for a couple of years, never been yanked or anything like that. It's totally compliant. But they were giving us a hard time about that on the detail page of the store. So you just simply have to keep fighting it, filing tickets. You could remove it and resubmit it, but I like to win. So I just kept submitting it and filing tickets until it finally went through. So what are the 3 ways somebody can find your brand store? We've actually already demonstrated them, but just so you're aware of this, if you click on the brand name of a detail page, this is the #1 way somebody finds your brand store. Now, if you demo that right now on your side and it doesn't pull up the brand store, let me tell you, you have a problem. This means your brand node ID is not set. This assumes you have the brand store up, but it's just not linking. You may not have loaded a UPC code to the GTIN field. To double check whether you have that UPC field loaded, go to the inventory page, click edits, go to the vital info, and here you can see the UPC needs to show up right there. It is preferable for the product ID to have the UPC instead of the ASIN like we see here. Sometimes you'll have data conflict issues if the UPC field is not filled into the product ID GTIN location. The second way somebody can find your brand store is by finding it on Google and clicking on the store like this. The third way is if somebody just simply types it into Google or types it into the URL bar like this, typing in Amazon.com age of sage, and it loads like that. And then the final and fourth way somebody could find it is if somebody were to type in any keyword onto Amazon. So I typed in age of sage, and it showcases the brand store page inside of a sponsored headline or brand headline ad up here. Somebody could click on it and end up on the brand page. Now, if somebody does not have their brand store linked to the product and they click on it, it'll default the search box like this. And then what could happen is you could see your competitor products, which you wouldn't want to have happen. Right now, I do see mostly my products on screen here. But if it was not linked properly, the impact of that is you lose visibility. The consumer might go to somebody else's product thinking it's yours. So it kind of leads to some loss of conversion elements on this. So that's my tips today on a brand store. We're going to probably do another one of these videos where we do takedowns or just like we do the ASIN reviews. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, check back, and look for other videos where we're going to talk about how to design the brand store from a better angle. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. And don't forget to look at these videos next.